Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Three Person Circle, where we take three people and we sit them in a circle. Now, you might notice something different about this three-person circle today. There's four of us, but believe it or not, we still managed to make it a circle.
Technically speaking, I mean it'd be a square.
No comment.
Or rectangle.
What is this, a geometry class? It's your host, Derek, with my co-host, Dax.
Hello.
And today we have Carey and Zach, dear friends. First time on the show. Welcome, both of you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Long time listener, first time appearance.
Zach
Only time guest.
Wow, it's an honor to do that, honestly.
Depends how much they pay. I could come back.
Zach has come from the frigid wastelands known only to man called Calgary.
I'm just happy to have water.
So I actually don't know if you guys knew this about Calgary. I was doing a little research of how Calgary came to be. You know Game of Thrones, you know the wall, the White Wall. So apparently, in real life, the Rocky Mountains were kind of like that. And they sent people over there and they're like, go watch that side of the Rockies to defend from stuff. And so anyhow, I just like to think of Zach as kind of, he's that guy for us. He's the guy on the wall. He lets us know what's happening across the Rockies there.
Wait, is that true? Is that true?
I know. I'd recommend you should always check into your own, research your own history, but on that one, just trust me.
Well, do you know why? Because last week he said that there was a wall, and there's still a wall around Quebec City.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have thought that was fake, and then we Googled it, and it's real.
Yeah, of course there's a...
I didn't know that.
Did you know it's the only walled city in all North America? Did you know that?
It was the first Samuel de Champlain built a wall.
Okay, but you know his case.
I
knows history. No one else knew that.
But see, this is why,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I think it had 34 settlers. They built a wooden palisade, a moat, 3 cannons. It was the first permanent settlement in Canada.
Maybe you can explain that, because we were trying to
First
figure out
permanent
why.
European settlement.
Why did they build a wall? Because our assumptions were that it obviously makes it more difficult for people to invade. Yeah. But was there an actual purpose for that wall being made around Quebec City?
Well, so the first iteration of the wall was that was how the Europeans built forts. The second iteration, or the larger iteration, would be just defense against the British. So having the wall, it was walled, if I remember right, as almost like a star shape, and then it was very well defensed on 3 sides except for the cliffs to the south, can't remember, southeast, southwest, and that's where the British climbed the cliffs and then surprised the French and fought the Battle of the Plains of Abraham, which I think is still the largest battle on Canadian soil, which defeated the French. It's why we're speaking English instead of French.
This is it's hilarious. That's a huge moment, and I did not know that happened. I just assumed it just kind of how did it get to we're speaking English while French?
To be fair, we really only learned that there was a wall around Quebec City
and then
7 days ago.
And then my reasoning, I was like, okay, this is what I can't carry. You've seen this wall?
This is just
So first off,
says a lot about our social studies teachers in high school.
Before we get into this wall around Quebec, which although Zach has explained it's a very, very important part of history, I still question if it is. Did that happen? Okay, I want to thank Distilled with Maplewood, what is this?
It's malted barley.
Malted barley maple whiskey. Cheers, thank you. Welcome to the show.
I think it's Odd Society. So
Odd Society. Am I the furthest guest you've had?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you've traveled very far. Thank you for that.
But surprisingly, we have a friend. You'll meet him. He bought tickets from Toronto, literally to just come kick it with us. I mean, he's going to come visit, but he also wants to come on the podcast and specifically complain about Canadian healthcare.
It's a very niche topic.
He reached out to Dax too.
Yeah, he did.
It must be bothering him quite a bit.
Wow.
So okay, the thing I can't get over with this walled city though is it's a genuine walled city like you'd expect from the medieval times, and I just can't picture when you're building this, you're we got to defend ourselves, and I'd assume it doesn't go up in a week. It takes a significant amount of time to build a giant wall. So the whole time are people just getting murked? They're being invaded, oh shit, keep building the wall, and or do Do you get what I mean? Like, it seems like it's a hard thing to build a wall, and if you're like, oh, we got to keep all these people that keep invading us, meanwhile you're building the wall to keep them out, like, wouldn't they be invading you still?
Well, they would have. It'd be during peacetime, and so I think what we often forget in Canadian history, like we joke like, oh, Canada's only, what are we, 150 something years old, but it's like
157.
157. But in terms of European settlement in Canada, like Champlain sails like founds Quebec City in the early 1500s. So like that's like it's actually interesting when you think about like what's going on in Europe and Asia and out, like in other parts of the world that we know more about that period of time, or we focus more on that period of time. Like I think we gloss over like that's
a long
I mean, that is the medieval period. That's the late
period.
Middle Ages. When he's building that, like it's the arquebus is like his weapon, which is the sort of grandfather of modern firearms, but it's like it's not. Canada is 157 years old as a nation state,
right.
But European settlement in Canada dates back much further, and it has more in common with like what we think of our like in the U.S. settlements and like more I think probably like that we think about like conquistadors, and that's happened in the same time as French settlement
that's so
in Canada.
Weird when you say that, because that's true. I have this kind of like offset of you don't think of the conquistadors. You're like, oh, it's different time periods, but that's. Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing that I've been super into history lately, and I always just kind of like when you hear something, let's say it doesn't matter what you're studying it's like some part of history, and then all of a sudden you step back and realize like the time period it was in. So you're like, oh, it's crazy that they were doing this a long time ago, and then you're all of a sudden like, oh shit, this was like 900 years ago, and then you look at that in comparison to something that happened like 2,500 years ago. It's interesting.
But even expanding off what Zach said, countries that aren't just made like this, I snapped, by the way. I just realized there's no video to this. But they're not just made in 10, 15, 20 years. But the reason why I think it feels so, our country feels so young, when Europe and the old country was being formed, that was being formed over hundreds of years, but 2,000 years before Canada was ever settled, right? So their snapshot seems a lot longer, but their countries also didn't get created overnight.
True.
I think also where we grow up, like growing up on the West Coast, there's even like for Indigenous, the materials that they use to build are not super long lasting, right? Like so, like because we all went. Did St. Edmunds go to the Longhouse?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah?
Well, I went to St. Mary's or Queen Mary's for 2 years, right?
Okay,
We
did you do the Longhouse?
We did the Big House trip, and we
the
also
Big House.
did,
That's it.
Yeah,
Big House
But a big house is a longhouse.
Yeah.
But it's so those like settlement, those villages, like those are sites dating back thousands of years, but the structures aren't. Whereas other parts of the world that built in stone, that stays a lot longer. You have that visual connection to history that I think is very different.
That's actually something I think a lot of like the northern hemisphere, if you go to like most of North America and you go, where's their ancient history? It was like you said, wooden structures, and it was in a damper climate and there was more ice. So it's like, well, they couldn't build a pyramid because that's not what they had. Like, well, it's not that they didn't have stone, but they had trees. They had other readily available things to use.
Yeah, I don't know why would you quarry stone to live on the coast when there's four? Like why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so this actually, just a little change of topic here. I've got a beef to pick, and that beef is with Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons the teacher or Tim Hortons the hockey player?
Not the teacher.
So the hockey player.
That would be crazy out of nowhere.
Is become a Maple Leaf spot?
So here's what my beef is. I think BK bought that place and it went to shit. Like absolute shit. And the reason I bring this up with you guys is because I brought it up with Neve, and she was like, yeah, it's not that good, but she's not from here, so she didn't realize like what it used to be. And the reason I think of this is I had their donut, their like super new flavored one, and it was absolute garbage. It was like styrofoam and plastic sugar.
Even their cruller has dropped off. Same with their ice cap. But I remember when we were younger, that was Tim Hortons. But we also didn't eat that much variety when we were younger either. So we've had better
that's
items.
a good point. I mean, with the there are so many donut places that have popped up where you're paying $5-6 a donut, and maybe our palates have been used to that, and then now when we go back to Tim Hortons, maybe that's the comparison we're making.
Something I always laugh at.
That makes sense.
So I think it's the same way. I mean, I still love McDonald's. This is not to slander McDonald's, but the majesty, the magical nature of McDonald's is not the same as it was. However, I have 3 children. I ask, where do you want to go? If it's not Boston Pizza, it's McDonald's. And
Boston Pizza's first.
oh my god,
Oh, dude, kids love Boston. Dude, Sarah's nieces
they
and nephews.
love Boston Pizza. They love because they have a dialed-in kids menu. You get a drink that you don't get at home: lemonade, iced tea, chocolate milk. Then you get your meal, and you get ice cream with any toppings, and you get to pick. So it's the choice.
Okay, that's
There's
pretty
it's
easy.
it's
the ice
cream.
it's
I get that.
very
Yeah,
dialed
ice
in. But the thing with McDonald's, they love McDonald's, and I'm like, why? McDonald's has gone downhill. It doesn't have the same place. It doesn't. But I think going back to what Carey said, we're grown ass adults. We can afford a better donut. We can afford donut holes. I don't need to spend $3 and get 20 Timbits. I'm sure it's gone up in price since we were
Whatever
teenagers.
it is, yeah.
But we used to shovel cheap food and love it. I think some things have gone downhill, but I don't. Maybe not, because I don't think I don't think it was that good to begin with.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I think you are right, Carey. You're onto something. Like, if you're eating, I don't know, name any cream pony donuts, and then you go to Tim Hortons, you're just instantly, you just have to look at them, and you're like, yeah, clearly this is better than the other. Like,
Cream pie
by
pony.
far.
Sarah calls it cream pie pony.
That's
Question.
where my mind always goes. Yeah.
Question for you: Kokanee. Is Kokanee worse than it used to be?
I always thought it was bad.
Okay, I used to love a Kokanee. Now, if I crack a Kokanee, I'm like, oh, this is a bad. I used to. I was like, this is. Why would I need to buy an $18 six pack?
Premium on Canadian.
Rebuttal. I will still buy a Bud Light.
I'll do Bud Light Lime.
I love myself a Bud Light.
I love
fair.
I love a Bud Light Lime, but that is more nostalgia than flavor.
See, I'm definitely like loose morals on that. Like, I'll tell you all the time, I won't drink this, and then as soon as you throw it in front of me warm, I'll be like, oh, I have a warm Coke.
Okay.
I get it.
You know what's funny about your beef on Tim Hortons? We talked about this before. Do you remember a few years ago, Tim Hortons was like, we're going to come in with fresher food, so we're going to switch all of our eggs, the powdered eggs, to real eggs. You know how many people complain that are like, bring back the powdered eggs. I want powdered eggs. And you're like, this tastes like crap. Like, I don't want real eggs.
Like, one of the times I got, because you've seen it, right? It's in the little cup and it's got the yolk.
Yeah.
And I literally, like, took a bite out of it and, like, slopped out like a real egg. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I picked it up and the yolk came out. And I was like, what is this? This is shit. I want my, going back to the point, I don't come to Tim Hortons to get goddamn good quality food. I come to get food that tastes good. So if it's bad quality and shitty, then what am I supposed to do about that?
See, I've had the opposite experience with the actual eggs at Tim Hortons. I don't like a actual hard cooked yolk.
Me either.
So I'd rather powdered. So because often they'll overcook the eggs and it's not a runny yolk. I love a runny yolk.
It's hard.
And it's and it's like chalky and that. Give me powdered eggs then.
Yeah, I agree.
Not a fan of that.
You know who does it good? If they were going to do
We're all lemonades.
an actual egg sandwich or a fast food egg sandwich, it should always be scrambled. Because even the powdered version of a scrambled egg tastes better than the powdered version of those like white yolk eggs, in my opinion. Like, I think you can make a better version of like a fake scrambled egg than you do with like a fake egg white yolk.
Okay, so breakfast sandwich question then. McGriddle uses the scrambled or powdered egg, like rectangle folded over itself,
Okay.
versus the McMuffin uses a fresh cracked egg. I've always liked the McGriddle.
McGriddle.
Like
McGriddle.
I want a blanket of powdered eggs that you
Absolutely.
slice into rectangular strips and fold and put on. It's fast food. I don't need gourmet.
Yeah.
I'll go to like Broken Yolk. I don't know if that's in our
We don't
viewership,
have
but that's a
that.
Calgary thing. But great breakfast place.
You know
Shout
what's
out.
funny? I've always thought that. I've always thought the McGriddle is one of the most superior breakfast sandwiches out there.
agree.
But, and I thought I was crazy because nobody orders it. Everyone always orders the Egg McMuffin. And then Nick DiGiovanni, you know, the YouTuber,
Yeah. Oh.
he did a YouTube series of,
Sweet.
he tried every
He won
single
MasterChef.
breakfast sandwich every fast food breakfast sandwich in North America. And he had never had a McGriddle before. And he had one and he was like, this is honestly one of the best fast food breakfast sandwiches I've ever eaten. And it validated my thoughts.
I mean, I have a personal thought on this because I've always loved it. Like, since I used to not eat breakfast at all. Like, I just didn't like breakfast, and then over time, I started getting into it more. And one of the first things I ate was McGriddle. That was like truly, I was like, oh, I can get into this. So for me, I always liked it because I was able to eat it in terms of like, I'd wake up in the morning and be like, yeah, I'll eat this. I feel like people feel like sloths eating it because it's pancakes with like sugar diamonds of syrup in it, which when you see, you're laughing. Like when you think of it, you're like, man, that's so greasy. But as soon as you bite into it, if you're not shamed by that, like me,
Oh, tasty.
I was just like, oh no, this is the only way to go. And everyone's with their McMuffins, and they're like, this is so good. And I can see like all this dry powder coming out of their mouth, like.
Okay, question. Which version of the McGriddle have you eaten? The one with the sausage?
Yes.
Have you had the one with the junior chicken patty? Have you had that one?
Yes, that is banging. I thought you were gonna say bacon because hot take.
Sorry, I think we're ending the podcast.
I want to throw a hot take.
Absolutely.
People that like bacon on breakfast sandwiches are insane.
What?
Over sausage.
Over sausage.
Oh, okay.
This
Okay.
is,
Okay.
and this is just simple, fucking geometry. You can't cover unless you're doing like some sort of bacon weave that covers the whole sandwich. Sausage is a fucking round patty that covers the whole sandwich. Bacon is two little X's, and it's like microwave shitty bacon. If I'm making it at home and I'm doing thick cut bacon, but fast food breakfast sandwiches, if you are ordering bacon instead of sausage, I think you're a sociopath.
I don't even think that's a hot take.
No?
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
sausage is more financially savant. Like, you're getting better bang for your buck. You're getting more full. You're getting more substance. So I don't even think that's a hot take.
I know. I actually
Okay.
agree with Carey on that. I think because it's so true. Like if you do get a bacon weave, like first off, if you're listening and you're some like restaurant owner and you're like, oh man, I'm so proud of my bacon sandwich, make a bacon weave and you can start being proud of it, right?
Yeah, give me a round circle of bacon
Yeah.
that sits, and I have bacon in every bite because it comes out stringy in your first bite, and then the rest doesn't have meat on
And
it.
it's microwave bacon.
Yeah.
If they give you true to form 2 slices of bacon, it's a different story. Okay, so I think we got to get off the breakfast here because I can feel like people are getting a little over the top. All right, let's all take a break.
I'm heated.
All right. So this is a bit of a thing here, and it's got some layers to it. So do you guys know who Dr. Disrespect is?
I do.
Have you heard of
So
all
I've
this?
heard this. I don't have social media, but I keep seeing his name pop up. Can someone please explain?
So you're gonna have to help me because I just did a bit of a thing on him because it leads into the next thing I want to talk about, but we have to talk about this first. So Dr. Disrespect is one of the original Twitch streamers, okay? And he started out as, from what I understand, was just a normal gamer and he was big, okay?
Okay.
But then at some point he becomes Dr. Disrespect, he wears a mullet, he has glasses on, and he's like Dr. Disrespect, and he runs his mouth and all that.
Okay.
And he's a really big streamer on
Can you
Twitch.
pull up a picture here? Because
let him
as you
I'll pull
described
up.
him, I
Yes.
You would
didn't know the
recognize-
name, but
You would recognize
as you
And
described him, I think I might recognize him.
From what I understand, and again, I didn't do the most research into this, was he had something in 2017, let's say a tweet or an Instagram post or something, where he apologizes to his wife for being unfaithful. Okay? As time goes on, he keeps doing his whole thing, and then it comes out he gets kicked off of Twitch because they say like some unlawful things went down, or
He broke their code of conduct.
and then he starts going on YouTube. And then what comes out from that is this is where he gets his like reboot, is he's on YouTube now as a YouTube streamer. With his reboot, now this is the main thing I want to talk about. There's talk of him being a pedophile because he was talking to underage kids. Okay? Now he comes out and he says he doesn't acknowledge he was talking to underage kids. I don't think. He kind of says something like, I talked to someone, it was a misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah. But as far as it's come out, no punishment has been to him. They've even looked into it legally. And so what the thing I want to talk about is he's a streamer for children. Okay? That's what he does. Like, no, it's not some like ominous like pedophile thing. It's like that's how he became famous. So how does it make you feel? And in the case of this, so far, supposedly, this guy, there's no ill intent outside of he was messaging an underage girl, but his clientele, I guess, whatever you want, maybe not clientele, the people that watch him are all underage. And the things he was talking about supposedly were maybe suggestive, like gray area. So first off, I'm just going to say, I think in general, if you're talking to underage kids, period, unless it's just like very basic, hi kid, yeah, I'm glad you like the stream, I don't think you should be talking to them at all. But how do you feel more about, let's step away from Dr. Disrespect, that idea of like your industry is through entertainment of little kids where you interact in that way?
It's rampant, man. I don't know if you guys know about Miranda Sings. You know that lady? Her YouTube audience she's this kind of this weird mom singer type of deal, but her
character.
her major audience on YouTube were a younger crowd, and it came out that she was allegedly part of grooming children, including that singer. What was her name? The blonde one with a little ponytail.
Jojo
Siwa. And she came on. She made a YouTube apology video, and she sang her video, and she took huge flack for it because.
Oh, I saw this. Yes.
So, my thoughts are, I know it's a big deal because obviously this is such an immoral topic, but unfortunately, I'm not surprised. Like, one of the biggest pop artists in the world, Drake, has had alleged pedophilia stuff for years now, and I feel like this is just a trend that's happening.
It's weird though, because like, okay, it's going to happen. Like, of course, that it's like anything that attracts that. But like these people, I'd assume 95% of them are genuinely people just doing it out of good faith. But then I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? It's just a weird. It's more. I was just thinking of it. It's kind of weird, the thought of like that's how you interact. Not like you're obviously a teacher. You interact in a teaching way. You're not like not like, yo, I love Mr. R. Like I want to be like him. Is like and hang out with them. Whereas that's kind of what you are if you're in that streaming world.
So you say that there is definitely an element of because I think about this in two ways. One, as a parent, we're very. I think the generation that we're in as parents are much more cautious of social media than the last maybe 10 to 15. Like we came of age as social media was coming into play. Like when Facebook came out, Facebook transitioned from just college to anyone could go on it when we were in like grade 9 or grade 11. So like we kind of came of age with social media growing up. We, I think, understand it more than even, I'm a fairly young parent for our generation. Like my oldest will turn 8 in August. Like, so I know it's so insane.
You're old, just he's 8.
Yeah, but I think we're much more cautious now as parents of social media. Like I know what is out there on YouTube, and that even YouTube kids, like that people slip in things because they think it's funny to slip in Slender Man in a video and splice it in.
And then some kids actually fucked up because of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then the teaching side is, I think, maybe more relevant to this because you say like, oh, but it is different. But there are kids that I never understand it because I'm a lame 33-year-old, just like I come in, I teach, whatever, but like that for whatever reason want a connection with me. And that's not to say it's like a parent replace. Like a lot of them come from like good places.
Yeah, yeah.
And I am always cognizant of keeping that distance of making them feel heard and respected. As you know, I teach high school, and high school in Alberta is different because it's 10 to 12. So like the youngest I teach is 15. So it's like 15 to 18. They have junior high 7 to 9. But like you're in grade 10, you're in grade 11, grade 12. Like you're just learning who you are as a person, and I can see how this happens because I think we often there's that comedian clip where he's like, he talks about pedophilia and he's like, you can't explain pedophilia, you can't explain this because then you sound like pedophile, where like it's the ages, but the later, like the adolescent, like we often think of pedophilia as like, or when we talk about these issues of like grooming and stuff, we're thinking like 8, 9, 10, 11 year olds. Man, when kids are 15, 16, 17, they are just trying to figure out who they are in the world. That makes more
sense for it.
And they want so badly to be cool. And like for me as a teacher, the last thing I want is when kids are like, you're my friend. But I have legitimately said to kids, I'm not your friend.
That's what the thing with all this that makes it so weird is, like, again, going back to like these are people, like, it's a job, right? Like being a YouTuber, like this isn't this Dr. Disrespect dude, he's just the most high profile because of right now. But if you go back, there's this one dude, he basically is like an American Justin Bieber. He was like 22 years old, but when he started his channel, he was like this super good looking like 13-year-old kid. And so you can imagine as he grew up to 22 or whatever it was, maybe he was like 14, but whatever it was, he was at the start of YouTube, and now here he is now as a young man.
Yeah.
And he has now all these followers, and he kind of, from what I understand of Dr. Disrespect, had a similar thing of he was talking to underage, but if you look at what it wasn't this like dirty pervert thing. It was part of what he did. So it's like such a weird area.
So I also wonder have they grown out of that stage? Like, Dax, you brought up Drake. Drake became famous when he was 14, 15, and this
Degrassi.
is not right. And this is not YouTuber thing. Look at like Josh Giddey, but
that's another example.
I wonder if these really high profile people stunt their development, whereas like me as a 33-year-old, I don't want to spend time with a 17, like, hell no. Whereas these people get famous 15, 16, and they stay that persona. They like, that's their life. Their life is the same when they were 17 as it is now. The only thing similar to my life when I was 17 is that I'm hanging out with the three of you. Yeah. But like, I'm married with 3 kids. I don't like that is there is so much difference between that and who I was at 17. Whereas a lot of famous people, especially nowadays when like athletes, YouTubers, musicians get famous so young, and then they just have yes people. How do you grow up? And so who do you relate to? You probably relate to a teenager, and so again, not to excuse any like abhorrent behavior, but I can totally understand why like a 28-year-old or even Drake, like
37,
if there is nothing untoward happening between him and Stranger Things girl,
Millie Bobby Brown.
if there's nothing actually bad happening between them, I could totally see how his maturity level at 37 matches hers, because they've had the same experience, and then he's probably had no development since he was a teenager.
It's almost like failing is what makes you succeed or like change, because like if we kept hitting, like let's say you were like, I want to be a pro basketball player, you do that, and then you just keep hitting, you never actually have to grow up because you just kind of like keep doing everything and hitting on it.
I will say though, I mean, there's plenty of pro athletes that have grown up in that ilk. I also think it's
100%.
maybe how you grew up in the system that developed you. For example, like Drake. Again, I'm not trying to dump on Drake, but he's an easy person to use in this scenario. But he, like Zach said, he grew up, became famous at 14, 15, 16. And then along that path, he got picked up by Lil Wayne. Along that path, he got picked up with whoever he was hanging out with. He has a bunch of yes men. So he's growing up in a scenario that almost allows him to stay young. But I also think, apart from the lack of stunted development, there's something to be said about being able to be around people that think that you're smarter than you are too. You know, if I talk to someone who's 16, 17, I could be saying super incorrect things, but I'm older and might seem like I'm smarter. Whereas if I'm talking to Zach and I say something and he calls me out on it, it's a lot more difficult to cultivate relationships when someone's calling you out on your bullshit.
True.
Yeah. And the target demographic stays the same. Like, I think Zach brought up, like someone like Drake, maybe the maturity level has been stunted throughout the years, but maybe it's also that's what he intends, because his target demographic stays the same and it transcends through those years as well. The doctor disrespect thing is a very hot topic.
It is, yes.
Especially online in the Twitch community and on Twitter.
Can you explain? Can you explain what's going on?
Yeah, I'll give a little background.
Like I said, I don't know the person.
I literally have no idea who this guy is.
I really got into Call of Duty Warzone when the pandemic started, because
Okay.
there was really nothing to do. And Battle Royale games, I think, took a big... their platform really launched off of the pandemic because people were just inside, cooped up. So that was a way to socialize, obviously. And Dr. Disrespect really made his name through the Call of Duty scene. So like Derek said, I think he was huge on Twitch, was getting huge viewership, making millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden something comes out and his contract with Twitch ends abruptly and no one knows why. So he starts streaming on YouTube. Viewership is rampant there. He's still making millions of dollars.
So I'd seen I'd seen Disrespect, just literally like pictures or videos, but I didn't start seeing him actually until he went to YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube. I mean, you could argue, or I don't even think it's an argument, YouTube's viewership far outreaches Twitch.
For sure.
But the gaming side of YouTube is definitely catching up to Twitch, I think. Like, Twitch has always been seen as a more gaming platform, and they've started to broaden out their horizons, and they have like IRL streamers and whatnot, whereas YouTube's the opposite. They've started out with like the daily vloggers, but they're branching out into the gaming realm. So yeah, Dr. Disrespect got huge. He was partnered with like the San Francisco 49ers. He's huge in the Bay Area.
He was really big.
He would be like, he would cut promos for them. So he was like big in that online scene. And just recently what happened is, I think a former Twitch employee leaked an email, or leaked what had happened between Dr. Disrespect and Twitch. And what happened was, Dr. Disrespect, and he's since admitted that he was messaging at the time, underage girl, and it would the messages would borderline on inappropriate.
Oh, okay. What?
And he says that there was no physical meetup with this girl. He also claims there was no intention behind his messages, which, I mean, that's up for you to believe.
That's a different story.
But basically what happened is, back in the day, and I think still currently, Twitch moderates direct messages.
Okay.
So they had people that were privy to these direct messages between him and this underage girl, and that's kind of what flagged everything, and that's where the whole code of conduct was breached, and they terminated his contract. What's interesting is he, I believe, countersued Twitch, and they settled out of court because I think he believed that them moderating his private messages was some sort of breach of privacy. I don't know the details around it, but at the end of the day, I don't think technically what he did was seen as illegal in like the court of law.
Court of law, yeah.
But again, if you are messaging an underage person and those messages borderline on inappropriateness, I think we all know where we should be standing on that. So yeah, I mean, he's since basically been canceled. I don't know if he's,
to be honest,
been
I
active
don't know.
since then.
I think
but,
I think he's just gone under. Like like that.
He claims.
Really?
I tried to look, but I know in his last tweet, like maybe a week ago, he said he will be back. But so much has come out, and I think that character is gone.
I do too, and I personally thought the character was something that couldn't live forever, because it made sense when he was in the Call of Duty scene, because he was all about like doing shit to noobs and whatnot. But like he was trying to transition into like he'd be playing golf and stuff like that. Like I just thought of anyhow. Yeah, well, thank you for that. That's I'm glad you actually could clarify that story, which leads into the reason that I actually started hearing about all this. So apparently there's a thing going on right now on Twitch, and there's a lot of people that are getting banned from Twitch for unjust reasons, because what they've had to do is there's this thing where they get girls and they sit them like they're all animated up. They'll have like purple hair, all this stuff, and they'll sit in a bathtub and they'll have like their nipples covered with bubbles, and they'll like they're never nude because you can't do porn on it, but they do like everything suggestive to the Twitch streamers, and then it all yeets you, and it all is like, check out the OnlyFans page to get more. And so what they did is they brought in something to deal with that, but inadvertently, again going to the word of law, it like legally axed a whole bunch of people that were not, if I'm correct, that were not a part of that.
Well, do you know why that happened, right? Like Twitch had a rampant like porn problem like 2 or 3 years ago. You know that, right?
Every single thing.
They basically found, or the OnlyFans girls basically found out that you could stream on Twitch for free and basically be butt naked and not be moderated, until the Twitch community found out that, oh hey, like there's basically free porn on Twitch right now. There was a huge crackdown on that, and then this was their solution to combat the bans from the Twitch porn.
Well, it's so crazy to me, just because like OnlyFans, Twitch, no matter what you do, if there's a way to sell sex on it, it's like 100% guarantee it's gonna go to that at some point, till you're like, no.
Well, wasn't that the whole Tumblr thing? Like Tumblr, didn't the CEO of Tumblr was like, it's not a porn site, and then like it was just rampant porn. He was like, and then he like was like, there will be no more porn on Tumblr, and then the site just died. Like it just completely died.
Why do you think Reddit hasn't moderated like any of their content? Like you can literally post whatever you want on Reddit. Like their bar for being banned on Reddit is literally this.
Sex sells. I mean, like, and I think, looking at it from a different side of things, I think in terms of like marketing, what these people and what these like companies have done is absolutely genius. Like, you're taking Twitch, which was primarily a platform to stream games, and then now they have a subcategory of like hot tub streamers, which is basically what you said. And these girls will just use it as, it's basically just marketing material. And it's to lead views and lead clicks to their OnlyFans, where they can monetize things. And whether or not that is ethical, that's up in the air, and
that's for you to decide. I personally, it doesn't bother me.
At the end of the day, I think it's a genius business move, and the only way to grow in today's day and age is to diversify your media platforms.
Absolutely.
Hit YouTube. Hit TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah, well, that's why Derek's starting an OnlyFans. right? Like this is the beginning.
This is the
That's
beginning.
fair.
This is a transition to market his eventual OnlyFans.
For all the listeners out there, I'm actually naked in a hot tub with bubbles.
Okay,
We're just sitting around here.
Just sitting around here.
I have a question though. Some of my students and have been watching the war in Ukraine, the war in Gaza on YouTube,
Right.
and like live streams of it, and you can just watch that. And sorry, it just talking about this raised a thought. I find in North America we police pornography, sexual activity so much more heavily than violence, and in Europe it's flipped. It's
Interesting.
like violence. So I remember I was in Vienna when I was like 14 or 15, and like a commercial, like not even like late night, like Girls Gone Wild, like this was like 7 o'clock. A commercial had a topless woman in it, like just like on regular television.
Where was this?
We're moving to Vienna, boys.
Neve.
But it was.
I have a great vacation
But
idea.
as we talk about all this with sex on Twitch and stuff, the like on YouTube, like you can just watch
Everything
the war in
now.
Ukraine,
Yeah.
and like
It's not even just
like
YouTube, though.
like
It's literally
actual
all.
people just straight up dying, and it's not censored, and I don't think there's any talk about ban, but again, like Tumblr, Twitch,
That's so
it's like
interesting.
whoa, a girl's nipple? We can't have that.
like,
What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like
But like boobs are
censoring violence, or
Oh.
censoring boobs on Twitch.
well, okay. Here's the thing.
Free the nipple.
I'm against. For anything to do with sex, I'm against the idea of like someone being taken advantage of. So if it's like a woman and there's a pimp, so if that's the case, then instantly I'm like, I'm not down for that. But if you're, let's go with you have your OnlyFans and you have your Twitch hot tub nipple streamer, whatever, to get them there, and it's your business and it's all honest and it's your thing, that's fine by me. It's not mine to judge that. Whereas I genuinely believe like the idea of, hey, we need to show war so people don't so they know the atrocities of war, it doesn't do anything positive in my eyes. It just scares people and makes them more afraid, and it's also horrific. Like I've literally seen a drone drop a pipe bomb on a dude, blow him up, and the buddy goes flying over, and then they go over and you see it reposition, drop a pipe bomb, and I was like, why am I watching like that? I'm not on. I have no social media anymore. It's been like 3 or 4 months. Gabe was telling me, he's like, "Yo, have you seen this and this?" And I was just like,
Let
"No,
me
I
guess,
haven't
was it
seen
Hot
any."
Tua?
Yeah. Actually,
you know what, though?
Okay, sorry.
Actually,
He told Danielle and I about Hawktua during Baldur's Gate a couple of weeks ago, and sent us a link, and so Danielle and I watched Hawktua Girl, and then it came up on like a cut. She was on stage at like the Zach Bryan band or something.
That's right.
that's
Absolutely wild.
That's
complete pivot. That is wild.
that's actually something I had on here. So
That being said, okay. On a lighter note, it's funny that you said that. So for a lot of people that don't know, Zach is a teacher of young minds. I want to test Zach's ability to explain modern slang.
Sorry, can I also? I am also a viral TikTok sensation.
that's true. How
I just
did
want
you
to
get
say
to it?
I think it got to 22 million views.
You're the most
So
famous person on
I just
here.
want to say that I am famous.
Well,
Thank you.
the last most famous person before Zach. What? How many, does Daniel count as the most famous?
I guess.
Who else has been?
I would argue you are.
No. I don't even have Instagram.
Okay, well, we'll be the judge of how cool you are, Zach. Okay, this is the
Shit.
test. All right, Zach, what does AF mean?
As fuck.
All right. What does a mood mean?
A mood?
A mood.
Like the vibe?
I mean, yeah, okay, we'll take that. Bay.
Your significant other.
Okay, that's word for word.
B. How do you say that right there?
B-I-H.
B-I-H.
Bitch. I don't know.
Wow, okay.
Is it? Oh, let's go.
You know all this too, eh?
There's a
Bet.
lot of Twitch watching.
Bet,
Like it if you know him, Carey.
like go for it.
like,
Like,
okay.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Bussin'.
It's great.
Man. Daddy.
That's
I'll give you a hint. It's not you and I.
a significant other.
What? I've never heard this one. Delulu.
Delusional.
When
Like
did-
crazy, like wild, like
When did that pop up?
I don't know.
Wait.
Gabe uses
Recently.
it.
Recently.
Hold on.
All right, Zach. Drip.
Oh, you're fit. You're the look that you have.
Man, I would not have gotten that unless I followed social media at the time. That's crazy. Do you know how that started?
No idea.
Like, when did you start noticing kids saying drip?
That's a couple years ago.
Years?
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
That's nuts, man.
I guess I forget how much time I spend around fucking teenagers.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's drip. I would have known. There's a few of them, but most of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
All right,
not,
what about gas?
Gas, like you're gassing someone up, like you're hyping them up.
Man, good for you. Okay, let's go. Can you explain high key?
Oh, high key. It's so like it's you're like worked up about something, right? Like it's. I just think it's the opposite of low key, isn't it? Like you're
I'll
like.
take- you know what?
Like something that's
You're-
like obvious that's out there.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
There you go. There you go. IYKYK.
If you know, you know.
You know,
We
you
used,
know.
we used to just, well, we used to just say it.
yeah, but back in my day, we had a lot more time to say the whole.
These kids these days are fucking lazy. They abbreviate.
Mid.
Average.
No cap.
I'm not lying.
I hate that one so
I hate
much.
that one so much.
I
I hate
remember
that
in one of
one.
our group chats, I think I threw out either cap or no cap, and Dax, you called me out on it, and I thought that was really funny.
This one only
For sure
applies
when I
to
see
Derek.
them in no caps.
Oh,
Like,
okay, boomer.
Oh, just yeah, you're old. Like I get kids say that to me.
are
Like
we boomers, even though we're like technically.
no,
like,
kids say that to
Yeah,
me.
call
They're
me
like,
all
okay,
kinds of
boomer,
letters.
and then I go, okay, zoomer.
I'd be like this. I'd be like, I'm not a boomer. Right off.
Riz.
Riz, your charisma.
Okay, why?
Riz,
How?
'cause your charisma. How it's just the
your game-
middle.
it's like your game. They
your
use it as
game,
like your
yeah,
game.
your game.
Whether
Yeah,
or
you got
not
good game. You got Riz.
I don't. Why? Like, why did they
Dude,
shorten that?
you're old, man.
Okay, boomer. All right. Slaps.
That hits.
Man, see, even that, like, that hits. What? Explain that hits.
That hits. Like it's
gas.
good. It's good. That's gas that up, baby.
All right. Sus.
That's like suspicious.
Yeah,
It's
suspect.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Thought.
Thought is an attractive person.
Okay, well, we're using the political. I know you know.
Yeah.
I know you know.
If you know, you know.
Acronym for like that hottie over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That hoe over there, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an attractive person
Don't worry, boys. Don't worry.
somewhere that you can see.
I want to make sure this podcast is monetized.
No, just so you're aware, there's a little thing to ask if it's explicit, and I push yes.
All right, let's go. One last one.
Okay.
I'll throw it out as like a. This is like a layup. Let's go. Zaddy.
That's just daddy, baby. That's daddy energy.
Oh, that was good. Okay, well done.
I was hoping you would fail on like one or two of them.
But Carey, I noticed you knew all.
He
of them.
did.
It's honestly it just has to do with watching Twitch. Like
Makes sense.
again, I love Warzone, and the best Warzone players in the world are between the ages of 18 and 23.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Fair.
makes
that's
sense.
basically how you.
No, it's these. They have.
How
they
you
don't
pick
have
up.
Twitch
Oh, no,
games,
but-
yeah.
What do
Yeah,
they
I
do,
play on
bitch?
Twitch.
Oh, mouse.
Mouse,
Right.
but it's reflex.
Dude,
Like,
I think it'd be funny to do a whole YouTube channel where all you do is you film people's fingers of them playing games, and it's like, but the only problem is no one would watch it because it's like no one cares, but you'd be like, what losers? And you'd see them like.
That would actually be a wild like Gen Z game show though. Just have film of their keyboard or controller interaction and be like, guess the game.
Oh.
Right? Like what are you doing? Like I wonder if you could guess the game based on people's keyboard control. Like if you watched enough Twitch.
Dude, I guarantee you there was people. Like,
yeah.
Have you seen StarCraft when they filmed the guys doing
man.
It's just like this. It's just like...
man.
Like this
it's all about hotkeys.
Yeah.
They don't actually like drag and click. It's like, it's all hot. If you see them set up their game before a game starts, they go like this because they're all hotkeying.
Have you guys ever played StarCraft 2? Like, as an actual... So I played it just recently, like, let's say, like, a year ago with a whole bunch of dudes that are like...
Yeah, but your friends are
like
crazy good.
Gamers, and all of them are playing, and this is what I didn't get about the game. They gave me the order, or like procedural breakdown, and it's like, if you don't have this by 2 minutes, you just quit. And so I'm literally going like this. So, and it's like, but it's this, it's like 2 minutes, 8 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And I'm literally like dragging, zooming, just using the things to zoom and look around.
No hotkeys.
And then they go, yo, we lost. And I'm like, what? It's like 3 minutes in, how do you know? And they all quit. And then... Or we'll win, and the whole time they've just like won everything, and I send in like 4 trees. The biggest battles happening around me. But okay, this is some stuff I really wanted to get into. So first one, this is a big one. Joey Chestnut was banned from the hot dog contest.
I'm gonna slide my chair back and let Carey take this one.
I know. You brought this up in one of our group chats.
It's a travesty. I mean. Unfortunately, it comes down to business and money making. I mean, Nathan's Hot Dogs is a direct competitor with whatever vegan or vegetarian brand
Impossible
Foods that Joey Chestnut signed an endorsement with, and for that reason alone, they took out the Wayne Gretzky of the hot dog eating world.
Is he still in form?
Oh, right? He's in prime form.
Guess how many he's won?
I don't even want to know.
16.
What?
Who's Mario Lemieux then?
The Mario Lemieux of the hot dog eating world? I mean, probably Kobayashi, only because his name is out there.
I just wanted to throw that out there because they're having that Netflix special.
Oh, do you know what's crazy? Do you know Matt Stoney, the YouTuber, the eater? He beat Joey Chestnut 1 year, 2015.
So, Chestnut had to know about this because this is the one thing. You can say whatever you want, and I think it's garbage. I think it's so crazy that because he has a different sponsor, they're like, no, Wayne Gretzky can't do this. But it's not a new thing. This has been a known thing that you can't be sponsored by other meats. I guess.
Pause.
No pause.
So when at first I was just instant out like reaction wise, I was like, what garbage? Like he could be doing like some form of eating steroid and I'd be fine with it. But it was the rules, so why would he do that?
Money.
But this is like if there was like an Adidas league and a Nike league and a Puma league instead of the Premier League. Like what? Like who you're sponsored by? You don't play against each other. Like that's. This is like I know we're in Canada, but this is America. That is the least July 4th thing I've ever heard in my life. You have economic opportunity. You've gotten a sponsorship, and they're taking like. Why is Congress not on this? There should be Senate hearings. Like they had Senate hearings about fucking steroids in baseball. What is happening? Why?
Yeah, let's be real. If there's another presidential debate, they come out and they go, look, we know a lot's happened, but the real issue is, what are you going to do about Chestnut?
I think Dash touched on it, and what Derek said is true, like, you know, assuming he had known about this, like, comes down to, like, one, it's money, and two, he knows for a fact he is light years better than the rest of the field. And,
literally everybody.
He actually did, a different organization's competition, and the amount of hot dogs he ate, so he did this on July 4th as well, the amount of hot dogs he ate in 5 minutes beat the winning number of hot dogs eaten in 10 minutes at the Nathan's hot dog contest.
That's why. So, you know what, though?
He knows that everyone knows that everyone...
Sorry, this is recorded on July 5th. You know this information.
Hey, I have
from yesterday.
I have the 2024 Nathan's July hot dog eating contest
PVR'd on my telescope.
Okay,
So,
do you know
I
what?
knew Carey-
We can watch it later tonight.
Carey, I was gonna bring it up, and then you brought it up in the chat. I was like, of course, Carey already does.
You know what though? This all points up Joey Chestnut because this sets up like the heavyweight. This is like our modern day Tyson versus Holyfield. September 2nd, 2024. Kobayashi. Joey
Somehow there's less biting eating the hot dogs than in Tyson's career.
Wow, that's a fantastic point. That is
on
that
Netflix.
is a fantastic.
It's on
point.
Netflix.
And folks, put your money on
It's on
Joey
Netflix.
Chestnut.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's this thing of like, you're not 5 wins in a row or 5 wins. You're 16. I think it's fair to say the world we live in now, you probably would have a hot dog eating contest get out there as like someone else would have been the Joey Chestnuts, but he's Joey Chestnuts. Like he was the guy that really before that. I didn't know about anything competitive eating, and the first idea of like,
Kobayashi.
there's a famous
Kobayashi.
person for eating. Well, yeah, I guess Chestnuts and Kobayashi, but still, again, it's like they put it on the map. So it's not, and it's, yeah, I don't know. I just,
Kobayashi's immortalized in Step Brothers. Do you remember Rob Riggle? Who was like,
oh
"I'm gonna
my
eat that dick
gosh.
like Kobayashi.
We just had Gabe walk. Gabe, say hello.
Oh, hello everyone.
Celebrity guest people.
Gabe,
Still live.
Gabe, get on in here. Gabe just walked in, everybody.
You haven't noticed that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Number
Derek,
one ranked realtor.
I just want you to
stepped
know
in.
now, this is a pentagon. This is 5 people in a pentagon.
You can't make a circle.
This is how shapes work.
Not. This is devastating for a 3-person
Hold
circle.
on. Before we
It has to
move
be
on,
a awkward. Oh,
before we
yes,
go to
yes,
the
yes.
next topic, me and Derek have gotten really into food eating and food challenges on YouTube. He sucks at food challenges, by the way.
And Dax is fantastic at food
I
challenges.
did not-
Shout out to Dax.
I've been
Yeah.
expanding my stomach, and I swear to God, I can do 50 Krispy Kremes in one sitting. I swear I can do
I
it.
think so.
I mean, I've
I
seen
think-
you do 50 chicken nuggets.
I think I
and,
could.
hey,
I would go
put my
toe
money
to toe
on
on Krispy Kremes
So-
with you.
I think so. Zach,
We're gonna do
you
an
have
audio
a
visual thing,
So yeah,
but-
that's how we are gonna get a video going eventually. That Zach,
We should
just to
do
give
it.
you an idea. So Carey finished in 40 nuggets in 30 minutes. Was that what he said? Right?
Yeah.
30.
And I
like-
want to say you did in 28,
28 or
29.
29. Yes.
Dax did it in 14:59. And so I'm terrible. I lied to them all.
Wow.
And I told them, I was like, if Dylan Wild, he was like, Derek, you said you were the best. I was like, dude, if you were there, you clearly right away knew I wasn't the best. And so like we start off and we're 6 nuggets in because I can eat fast enough if it's like the start. It's once you actually start capacity wise, I'm just not there. So the first 6 nuggets, I was watching Connor and Carey and I was like, all right, I'm keeping up with the boys. And then I went, yo, Dax, where are you at? And I look over and he's done 20 nuggets.
First 20 took 4.5 minutes. The last 20 took 10.
Dax, I'll say you are ready for fatherhood because that I think I used to be the slowest eater in the world, and now it's you either as a dad you eat fast or you eat cold. Like that's it. That's what you got to do,
I do
man.
both of those things very well.
As a new dad, also, I could say, I feel like you have to hold your poops a lot longer. There's sometimes you have to poop really bad. Like, normally you'd have pooped.
Oh, yeah, you don't have the time.
So you still have 2 hours.
You don't bring the baby in the bathroom while you poop?
Carey, I don't want to ruin my baby.
I mean, no, that's a legitimate
Hey.
question because, like,
I've done it before.
Yeah, I watch a few vloggers
Yeah.
where, like, you know, they'll film like their day-to-day lives, and like with newborns, they'll, you know,
No,
put the
I'll
baby
do
in
it,
the
I'll
rocker
do it, but
and
it's
like
hard. It's hard. It's not as easy.
they'll poop with the baby in the bathroom.
The poop is hard.
both.
You
That's
know-
a fair question. No, Carey, you know what? I honestly haven't even thought of that. Like, that's what I'm like.
Life hack.
It's poop or baby.
Do you know what though? Okay, so I was gonna say, if we were gonna do an audio-visual component, we talked about it with Luke. I honestly think if we could figure out a way to do this, the Average Man Olympics video before the Olympics would be hilarious.
No,
we
I
want to
thought
do
it was
it.
after though. Once we
No,
know
no,
the
we
results.
should do it before the Olympics because then it'd be kind of like a precursor to the Olympics. We want to do an Average Man Olympics where we draw Olympic events out of a hat, but it's just us.
Sick.
But
That's
it's
hilarious.
just us.
Yeah, all the stuff.
I'll just say, I'll do the try. I just did a duathlon, And I think my sprint duathlon time is about the Olympic triathlon
See,
time.
no, that's perfect. But that's perfect because you're like, yeah, I did duathlon, I trained for it. Like, obviously, you're not a pro athlete,
Yeah.
right? So you'll be like this. So like, this
Half
is
the
what it looks
distance,
like. This
same
is what
time.
it looks like when you train for it. And Zach's like, again, he's like, yeah, I did my best. And then you're like, Zach, they actually beat by 3 hours. And you're like, oh, so that's what happens.
No, you know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen? You're gonna pull like Olympic triathlon. You're like, I'm not doing that. Like, pull for the 100-meter race.
I think you do like half the, but well, no, 100 meter.
Gabe, you can talk. Just
100 meter.
I just want you to know.
We wanted
If
to,
you do half the distances, can you beat the Olympian? What distance can you beat Olympians
run
at?
50
At
meters?
half the
Yes.
distance.
10 meters.
So 50 meters, 200 meter,
I can,
yes.
I can
200
run
meter?
50 meters.
400
faster than
meter?
Usain Bolt can run 100 meters.
400 meter.
I don't know.
I think
don't know.
I think I can do 200 meters faster than the Olympic champion in the 400 meter.
Oh,
Yes.
easy.
But
I don't know.
800 meter.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. That
Can
gets
you do a
tough.
400 meter faster than they do the
What's
800
the- what's
meter?
the-
Yes,
what's the-
I
what's the-
can.
This is what I want to
World
know.
record of the 800.
I want to know
Look,
half distance Olympics. So you do a sprint triathlon. So it's half the distance of the Olympic triathlon.
okay.
And
I
you
think-
do
I
like
think anything
you do a
outside-
half marathon. I am not beating the Olympic marathon time in a half marathon.
Okay,
I'm getting
not a
absolutely shit
Yeah,
kicked.
yeah.
Dax has the
Yeah, I'm sorry.
time for
Yeah.
the 800
The
meter.
world record for 800 is 1 minute and 40 seconds.
So yes, we
Yeah.
can.
No.
I can.
So that's so. Oh, sorry. Yes.
I can do a
Yeah.
100 and a
Yeah.
half.
You're
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
not,
for
you're
sure.
definitely not jogging like
Yeah.
this.
No, you're
But you can
sprinting.
do-
No, we
Yeah.
can beat the.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the 1500 meter Olympic
Let's see.
time?
Let's see. Okay, well, while I'm
So
searching this up-
750 meter.
You were track in high school, right?
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, you are. built
But
for
so this
distance.
is but this is the fun. So now running, like, my grade 11 time for the 3000 meter was 9 minutes and 18 seconds. I now am over double that. and like when I run fast, like I can run like a 4-minute kilometer. It's still not even close to that.
Right.
Like
So
it's
crazy.
wild.
Do you know what's funny? I just started running super recently. I got really into it. I've never done it in my entire life. I've just started running. I now realize how insane the best marathon runners are at running compared to the average human being. Like, I ran my first 10K in 55 minutes, and my buddy who's at work, he just qualified, or he qualified and completed the Boston Marathon. He did it in 2:23.
Wow.
And I asked him what his 10K time was.
Wow.
He's like, it's usually around 37. And I'm like, do you just sprint? It's like, it's my sprint. It's my sprint time.
So
basically.
Chris Wiggness and
You
I
can sprint for kilometers.
Chris Wiggness and I used to run like the competitive middle distance. We did a 10K. I think he was 34 minutes. I was 36 minutes for a 10K. We ran the 2000 or the 3000 meter, and in high school track it's grade 8 to 12 because for the middle distance run there's not that many runners. So we were running the 3000 meter. I think this was like grade 8 or grade 9. And Chris Winter, who was a phenomenal track
He was just-
athlete. I think he was at Handsworth. Anyway, he had a track scholarship to University of Oregon. He lapped us twice. And so Chris Wiggness and I are running, and we finished, and Chris finished ahead of me. I won bronze for our age because Chris got silver. There was one guy ahead of it, but we were like the whole time just like, fuck this. This is. But he was so goddamn fast.
Well, that-
like we were like 11 minutes at the 3000 at that point, and he was just flying around. Like when you
That's-
get to those distances,
Is it demoralizing when you see him
it's
start
so demoralizing.
That's yeah. That's what happens when you're dealing with guys like you're obviously a good athlete. Chris was a good athlete, but then you start dealing with elite athletes. Which brings me into my next point.
Is this the Lakers Lakers off season chat? How do the three of you feel about the Lakers off season?
So, what I want to talk about is nepotism. Okay.
So the Lakers all season.
So now my question, let me finish. My question to you is nepotism dead? And how I'm going to pose this question to you is LeBron James' son making the Lakers is not nepotism. It is not. And I will tell you why. Bronny is not 6'4" like listed. He's 6'1.5". Okay?
I am taller than Bronny.
Bronny's stats.
I just want you to know that.
So that, just so you guys know, I'm gonna let's, for the listeners that don't know what's going on, LeBron James' son got drafted 55 overall to the LA Lakers.
LeBron James Jr.
I will
Jr.,
say,
Bronny.
from an economic standpoint, not a bad draft pick.
Okay,
he will probably sell a bunch of for second round draft picks.
So
solid deal.
He was 6'4" until he reached the NBA combine and then he randomly turned 6'1.5". I don't know. It's crazy. To be honest with you, it happens. I was 6'2" until I measured myself, and then all of a sudden I wasn't even over 6 feet. So I get how it happens. So he played 25 games, averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2 assists a game. Now, I know what you're saying. That's not NBA numbers. Okay? I agree. Except in the second round, number 52 overall in 2014, do you know who the Dallas Mavericks drafted? No?
I do not know.
Do you have any idea?
2014?
You're not going to guess.
Oh, let me guess. 2014?
Yeah, you're not going to guess.
I mean,
Gershon Yabusele.
Jokic was a second round pick.
Satnam Singh, 7'4", 400-pound from India. He played 19 NBA games, and he was drafted 52nd overall. So he averaged 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 20 minutes playing in the IMG, which is the Indian Elite League. Okay.
The IMG? Are you sure? IMG is a high school in North America.
No, I'm sure it is.
IMG
I'm sure it
Academy,
is,
yeah.
but this is all through India.
Okay.
He was the number 2 ranked team in the country. This team he played for in the IMG. The IMG here it is. So the IMG is the league. The IMGR is the mega corporation in India that owns the IMG league.
Gotcha.
Okay. So there you go. So Mark Cuban said when he drafted him, literally every single person said to him, who the hell is this guy? And he said, we just gained 1 billion followers. So my question to you, is that nepotism, Bronny getting into the NBA?
Like I said, I think drafting him, great business decision. You lock up LeBron for 2 more years, maybe 3 more years. Maybe Bryce comes through the Lakers. Just like Dallas, you draft a guy, they probably sold a ton of jerseys in India. That's great. Now, is that a good business decision? Sure. Is it a on-court productivity decision? I mean, LeBron re-up for 2 more years? What the Lakers did around LeBron? And I will eat crow if the Lakers somehow have success this year. But I think the Lakers stood pat, thinking that Denver is the only team that will beat them in the West, and everyone else got better. And as the Laker hater on this podcast, I fucking love it.
You know what, though? Okay, as much as we hate on the Lakers, and how much me and Carey obviously love them, and Derek is also a fan. I'm a realistic fan. I'm not one of those guys who just go, I push the narrative of the Lakers are whatever they're selling, I'm buying, right? I messaged the group chat literally 2 days ago. We're gonna suck. I personally think we're gonna suck. Nothing's happened. I'm not so much mad about the Bronny signing in terms of nepotism, and Ryan Russillo talked about this last Monday, and he said, how many 55th overall picks can you memorably think of in the NBA ever, right? For people actually saying it's a waste of a pick because it's a basketball thing, he's like, if you taken them in the first round, fine. If they had picked them instead of Dalton Connect, I would have been like, what are we doing? right? But the fact that it was 55th, it's not technically a waste. What I think is actually the waste is they gave him a guaranteed rookie contract. That's where I think they lost me.
4 years.
4 years. Because
Like that.
no
yeah.
second round
Wait.
pick gets that.
Did he sign that and then LeBron signed his 2-year deal?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, then it makes
Yeah.
It's a great signing.
So
I posted it like that. I was like, LeBron, I'm going to take a pay cut next year so we can be competitive.
so
$52 million a year.
who finished below the Lakers in the West last year? Golden State
Yep.
got better. Carey and I talked about this.
I actually
Yeah,
think,
wait,
I think Golden State
Sorry.
got better.
I actually think
Before we get into
I knew
which
you looked up
teams
something, yes.
got better than the
Oh, sorry.
Lakers or are better than the Lakers, I just want to throw this out there. To answer the question, do I think Bronny was a nepotism pick? Yes. Do I think he was a bad pick? No.
Okay.
And I think Zach and Dax alluded to it. Business-wise, it makes sense. And I just want to throw this out there as well. Of any 55 overall picks in NBA history, have any of them made the cover of Sports Illustrated prior to them being picked? Go with outside of his dad, LeBron, who was on the cover while in high school. I think Bronny's the next one up. But funnily enough, he was on the cover, and this is just going back to me being a big Warzone follower. He was on the cover as part of FaZe Sports Clan, which
FaZe.
is one
Love
of the
FaZe.
biggest esports organizations in the world. And they were on the cover of Sports
he's a
Illustrated.
good
so.
Call of Duty player.
He's a
right?
fantastic
Yeah.
Call of Duty player.
Bronny?
So
Yeah,
oh,
Bronny, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, like unbelievable.
I mean, way better
Yeah.
than me. So
The thing, okay, I actually think pro athletes in sport or in gaming go on. Like Luca's a really good Overwatch player.
Overwatch,
Because
man. Luca's
if you-
amazing at
Yes.
Overwatch.
Alfonso Davies, it's actually kind of sad. That thing of him being like, I'm the most popular loser in the world, where he's like, his girlfriend plays for PSG in France. He's
Not
in
anymore, they
Germany.
broke up.
did.
But did
Yeah.
they?
She's dating in
Julio
Julio
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Fucking Mariners, let's go. He's having an awful year.
I mean, I don't blame him. He's probably having fun other ways. but sorry. Back to the point. Like,
I love how all of
what
us
do you,
do-
what is the
Having fun gaming. Fun gaming.
Sorry, go
Hey,
ahead.
they're still in first place. Let's go.
but what do you do when you play a sport? You show up whenever you do. Let's say you show up, if they're strict, you get there at 9 o'clock. You have your morning breakfast, you stretch out a little, you practice, you do your post-session thing. If there's no season going on, you go practice again. If there is a season, you probably practice once a week and it's a game and warm-up. So like there's this downtime that's insane. And that leads into you being able to just game all the time. Like, quite frankly, it's all the time. Like, if you notice the amount, like Diogo Jota, how are you that good at soccer and also one of the top-ranked FIFA players in the world, unless when you're not playing soccer, you have a lot of time to game? Like, it's just how it is.
But also, there's like the monetary aspect where I think we think like professional athletes should be only doing their sport all of the time. Like it's their job, and they spend their job time doing their sport.
Right.
But then, what do they do in their time? Well, they have a nutritionist. They go to the facility, and their food is taken care of. They have a chef at home. They have they have their job and their downtime. Like, of course they're gonna do that. And then also, what is one of the biggest traits that all these guys have? Insane reaction time and dexterity.
Very good point.
Like,
yeah.
it makes sense that a
never
lot of
thought
them
about that.
transfer to sport or to video games from sports. Like that's
You know what?
That's huge.
That's actually
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
when you say that, because this is another thing I wanted to bring up and I couldn't.
Also, Luca drinks 2 liters of sweet tea every day, so maybe that has something to do with it too.
I'm gonna start drinking 2 liters sweet tea today.
Diabetes type 2.
Yeah.
Patrick Lanning.
True, Lanny.
Lanning
Turns out all
Lanning
that.
took Fortnite wages. That's screwed.
I mean, there is a downside to it for some.
Okay, so with that, let's continue on that thought of video games and your reaction times. Just so you guys are aware, I have a whole bunch of things I just write down when I think of them, and then that's how all these topics come to be. Are video games better for you than watching TV in terms of what it does for your brain.
100%.
100%, right?
Without a doubt.
One is solely passive. One is reactive.
Yeah.
One is activating
There-
certain things. Like, I'm
Not
sure
even
there's science
not-
behind
right,
it, but
I mean,
in my like,
There,
No,
my
there is
mind, it
science.
would.
You run into a
yeah.
lot of people that disagree with you, though.
I'll
Like,
actually
I'm
bring-
sure you have.
I'll actually
right?
bring
there
this
are
up
some
now.
video games where sure you can be probably as passive as you are watching TV, but
True.
there are
Well,
other video
and
games
there-
where there is a massive strategic component. Where you've got to be actively thinking. There are different
Puzzles.
variables that are thrown at you that you've got to navigate around. I don't think it even.
And I should say,
compares.
not all TV is passive. Some, like a lot of TV, if you're watching, like it makes you think, it
Yeah.
makes you process, it makes you, think about your emotional intelligence and process things that maybe you haven't thought about before. But I think on average,
Agreed.
video games are you're probably doing more with your brain playing video games than you are watching TV.
Well,
Yes.
on average.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I like when I think of like, okay, so we like the way we talk about it. We're talking about like you're playing a game and you're like this, like, but there is also the level of it. You've played Call of Duty or FIFA, any game that we've all played where it's like online multiplayer and you play for like 4 or 5 hours and you kind of like slunk into your couch and you are on autopilot. But even within autopilot, I would argue, like you've been there, you know what I'm talking about, when you've been playing COD for ages and you're just like, you're kind of zoned out, still playing though, and to that point even you're like, okay, maybe I'm not fully focused, but my brain is actively doing so much more than if I'm just like staring at a TV.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
There's a physical response that's required.
But then,
Yeah.
some shows, have you guys watched The Bear?
Yes.
I love the Bear.
I
Everyone's been hyping
absolutely
It's a good
love
show.
The
It's a
Bear.
good show.
One of the things I love about The Bear is I find people are very real, and there's like actual, like, someone apologizes, and it's not just like, oh, I accept your apologies and we move on. Like, you don't always accept someone's apology, but like, there's character development, and I find Danielle and I've been watching it, and you sit and you think. And it's a very show don't tell. So you have to act like, oh, what? Wait, sorry. What is going on here? What is going on there? Which some video games can be very monotonous and just fine. But again, on average, I think video games would be more stimulating than TV shows.
I will say we'll see the evidence of what happens in the next generation, because the 50 and 60-year-olds are playing video games now, and then we're going to see when they turn their 80s and 90s
What happens?
So it's
if
funny
they
you
get
s-
Alzheimer's
It's funny you say that.
True.
So I actually sent my parents this about 3 or 4 months ago, because there's an actual study now. You can see in the NCMBI. There's been a longitudinal study now of a test group over 15 years that didn't play video games at all, and they had a test group play video games, and the group that played video games had a lower percentage risk of developing any Alzheimer's, dementia, and mental health or brain diseases. There's something to be said about utilizing patterns in your brain into late stage life that you kind of wean off when you get out of the workforce, right?
That's really
Because
cool.
you're continuing
Interesting.
to utilize them
This is the fuel I need.
until later in your life, where a lot of, if you look at people that go into retirement, a lot of their mental development just falls off the cliff because they're not stimulating those things that you have to do on a regular basis: problem solving, escalation management, social interaction, right? It's just something that falls off completely once you're off of work. So there's something to be said about using those patterns in a video game, because I mean, it might not be the same level of stress, but like, how many times have you played a video game where you're like trying to solve something, or like you're stressed out because someone's shouting at you from the other side,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's just different patterns that get activated as you're playing a video game.
Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point.
I think I've always felt this way. Is there's a small group of people that they retire at, let's say, 60, 65, and they have their money and they're like, you know what, I'm happy and I'm just gonna hang out, and it works for them. But I think most active minds, most people that get to the point where they can sit there with a whole bunch of money to retire and not do anything, they probably aren't the type of person that's gonna thrive by not doing anything. Perfect example, Brian, we all know, like, oh, Brian, you could have retired a long time ago. Yeah, but I don't think Brian would be healthy if he retired a long time ago. Maybe he would. That doesn't mean he couldn't have been.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean he couldn't. It's all theoretical. But there's a chance that a mind that's always active doing all these things to get to, again, and Brian's an extreme example, but like someone that can just be like, you know what, I can live off of $4K a month or whatever the rest of my life. They might not thrive and do well mentally once they leave their world behind.
Yeah, I think you need habits. I look at my parents who love retirement, but they get up, they play king cribbage every morning, and
Amazing.
my dad has a Switch. He plays some Zelda. He plays some Mario Kart
That's
with
awesome.
Ben,
That's amazing.
and my mom will FaceTime Ben, and they will set up Ticket to Ride, and mom and dad will play with Ben.
Online?
Like they'll have FaceTime. So Ben will set up the board game at our house, and they'll set up the board game at their house, and they'll both add the trains
That's so
on either
cool.
side, and then like they just play tons together or apart, and
If
like
I recall,
it's
that
it's
didn't help
very
in February.
sort of pardon.
If I recall, that didn't help Ben in February.
Okay, guys, so we're 2 minutes away from kickoff. What
We
I'm
are.
thinking we do is we can either wrap this up, and then after we can continue to pod, but we'll have everyone here, and it's basically going to be the same thing. Or we can just pause this and come back and just kind of like continue.
I think
Unless-
Steve is on his way, so maybe we continue on until he gets here, and then we start the game late. How's
Yeah.
that sound?
I will say I am
we-
streaming it off TSN.
Okay.
Wait, I have
So
to say
I don't
this.
think we can pause it.
We can't pause it.
Oh, we can't
Yeah, I
go
can't
back.
rewind it.
Okay.
Why don't we
I'm
wrap up
okay.
the pod, start it, pause it, and then maybe we do a post game
I think
pod.
we should do a post game.
If we do- if we-
because the reason being, I want to see how it would work with a round table.
Yeah.
And so if it's shit because of the audio, the only reason we wouldn't play it is just solely based on audio. So it would actually help us to have a round table after. So it's not
do
like okay. So, well, honestly, Gabe, thank you for coming back late. Gabe, just for everyone that know, Gabe wasn't trying to get here. He's showing up for the soccer game. Carey, please come back anytime. You're always welcome. It was an honor to have you. Zach, thank you for protecting the wall in the north or the east.
Anytime.
Take care, everybody. You got anything you want to say?
Maybe if we give us a shout to the sponsors there.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'd like to give a shout out to the unofficial sponsors of the podcast.
on Society.
Prime Energy. If you're looking for 2 grams of sugar, creatine, and a guaranteed rehydration like you've never seen before, Prime Energy. I know what you're thinking right now. I should just buy a Gatorade. Well, maybe Gatorade, Body Armor, and give me some others. What are some other names? BioSteel. Maybe they have a monopoly.
Powerade.
Powerade. Maybe all of them. All of them have a monopoly, and Prime's just the lone individual small brand trying to make a living out there. and if you think there's something wrong with recording in a dead suicide forest in Japan, don't drink Prime. Don't drink Prime. But outside of that, we'd like to thank Prime Energy, the unofficial sponsor. Anyhow, thank you, everybody. I hope you had an enjoyable time. This was really fun. Take care.
Bye.